So my presentation will be about secure Bitcoin services and why do we need them. But first, just a little background about me. Why am I standing here and what is the purpose of my talk here? So first of all, I come from Poland. Poland is a nice place. The girls are nice. The alcohol can kill you. And I'm a programmer with passion. And if saying with passion, I was a programmer as long as I can remember. I worked with PHP from 2001, and I touched some QBasic stuff even earlier, when I was like 10 years old. And I saw the web. I saw the web when it looked like this. It wasn't pretty. It was flashy, all this animated GIFs and all that stuff. No dynamic websites, just static stuff. But it worked at that time. And that got me interested from the beginning. And then, to not bore you about what happened in the meantime, 8 years, the Bitcoin era. I've learned about Bitcoin in 2011, so I wasn't an early adopter, but the price was 0.9 back then. It was quite a nice price. And I thought it was a genius concept that is worth pursuing, of course. And started working on some ideas, which wasn't like big ideas. I made some lame signature generator for forums, which didn't get any traction. But again, I just was testing waters there. And I also saw exchanges that are failing all the time. So I thought that there is a time for change, because there are exchanges that come and go. And we needed something to help this situation, to fix what was going on in these past years. So I, together with other folks, we had a brilliant idea that if Bitcoin itself is basically decentralized, we should also make a decentralized service when you don't only push all the responsibility on the central service, which could fail. And as we saw in last years, the services were failing. We thought that there is a way to store Bitcoin securely without lowering the security and not putting everything on the user, because past experience shows that users also lose their funds. Whereas for hackers or just lose them, like lose access to their hard drives. So Bitcoin security, which is non-trivial, that is the next topic. And why is it non-trivial? Why do we need something to enhance Bitcoin security? It should be just a secure concept without any help, but it turns out that it's much needed. So this statistic is from December. It's probably even worse now. So until December 2013, 800,000 Bitcoins were lost or misplaced or hacked or stolen. So that's a big pile of coins. That's currently a fair percent of the economy. I think the number is here. That it's actually, I don't remember exactly what, it's 6.5% of the whole economy. So it's enormous. For if bank, I don't know what's a bank in here, a big, so if Deutsche Bank was losing 6% of funds every month, they would probably close the shop very early. They maybe do, but they have some government help and other stuff. But let's assume that they don't. So we are trying to do a bankless system here, and we have to tackle this problem. Why there are many events like this? Why so many hacks, so many misplaced funds happen? So there are many challenges when storing Bitcoins. Here are three of them. First of all, if you store the coins yourself or on your computer, the whole responsibility of securing that comes to you. And the time told that that could fail. And I know several people from this room who just lost or got hacked for a big amounts of Bitcoins. The second one is hot wallets, so online services which just store their funds online because they have to be online on the server so the service could use them. And then, of course, a hacker comes, steals the wallet and closes the shop. And InstaWallet is one of most recent examples of that, where big amount of bitcoins were lost. And third is site admins, which are not always honest and sometimes lose the funds as well, which happened before. So yeah, how do we tackle this problem? These are very serious problems that need serious solutions. And it seems that only two solutions are available now. So either you store it yourself or you store it in online service. It seems that there is no immediate solution for most of users, but now we'll try to show that there is one, and the solution is multi-signature transactions, which are implemented in practice. So to talk about multi-signature transactions, we need to first understand how normal transaction goes. So first, when you want to spend bitcoins, this was touched by Martin, you have gathered some of coins that you didn't spend yet. You create a transaction draft. So for example, I create a draft that I pay Pavel this amount of bitcoins from this and this and this output. And then I sign the transaction with my private key and broadcast this transaction to the network. That's how normal transaction works. And really the most critical part of that is this one, signing transactions. Because only one private key is used to unlock your funds, or in case of several inputs, there could be several private keys, but it's irrelevant. Still, you have to hold this private key and sign it to sign the funds and to spend them. So if that private key gets stolen or lost, your funds are gone. And that's something that is happening every day. And in almost every Bitcoin service, private keys are just lying around there. So if you were to hack the server and go to their Bitcoin the directory on their server, there will be a wallet.dat in there. You can grab it, sweep the private keys, and that's it. They are unencrypted, and for a good reason, because they have to be unencrypted for the service to use them to withdraw money to the users. So as we can see, this is not ideal solution, and the multi-signature comes into place with a real solution. So how it works? You have to gather 2 or more Bitcoin addresses. With Bitcoin address, I understand this 1 and 30 characters address, because there are public keys. This is something different, but for this presentation, let's assume it's the same. And then in this presentation, I will just use the Bitcoin RPC commands, but you can do it yourself because the protocol is described quite clearly. So you use this add multi-sig address command, and as a result, you will get this special Bitcoin address starting with 3. And this resulting Bitcoin address is fully functional. You can send money to it from a supported client and receive coins. You can go to blockchain.info and it will show the balance of this address. You can create different combinations, not only 2 Bitcoin addresses. You can create 3, 4 and more. We'll see in a moment what this enables you to do. But you have to specify how many addresses, how many public-private keys are you taking in account, and how many are needed to sign a transaction. And this enables some interesting applications with this several combinations of multi-signature addresses. So, for example, this will be later, but part 2, how do you spend? How do you spend transactions? So first you create this transaction draft, as I showed you before, with normal transaction. And then you sign it, but you use this special command called sign row transaction, in which you provide private keys. And what's special about it, you can provide only one of private keys. So, for example, I have one private key, Martin has one, and Pavel has one. So I can use mine and only partially sign the transaction draft. And then the resulting partially signed transaction I can pass to Pavel. He will sign it with his private key. And if I created 2 out of 3 wallets, it's already a valid transaction, and I can broadcast it to the network. So that's how it works in a nutshell. And what you can do with it, what's the possible applications. So first of all, you can do it yourself, and you can make a secure storage. You can generate several private keys, one on your laptop, one on your mobile, one on something else, and then make 2 out of 3 address, store the private keys separately, so in case one is lost or stolen, it still you will still be able to access the funds, but potential hacker won't, because he will have only one of them. And if he hacked both your computer and your mobile, then you're screwed. But you will have more problems than that if he just owned your life and probably your apartment and whatever. So that's one application, and you can make 10 private keys and spread it out around the world. There is even one interesting application when you can make a private key with your children and give them access to it. So then you can pay them their share every week, but they can't withdraw it, let's say, until they are 18 or so. So we can use this for this as well. The second application is safe escrow, and this is when it really shines, because when you buy something on an eBay-like service, you are at the seller's mercy. If you send him the money, he could not send you the goods, and then you're screwed. You need a third party to handle this. And with safe escrow, you can make 2 out of 3 Bitcoin address, one of which is controlled by the seller, the second by the buyer, and the third by some third party that could not participate in the transaction if everything goes okay. And if something goes wrong, 2 parties can agree that this should happen. For example, seller receives the money because it already appeared on the blockchain, but he didn't send the goods. So the escrow and the buyer agree, okay, he didn't send me the money, so we should get the money back from the multi-signature address. And this is possible by this 2 out of 3 multi-sig escrow address. And the third one, which is quite interesting and quite new, is hybrid wallets, when you can have something in between online wallet service and your local storage of Bitcoins, when one key is held by the server operator and the second one is held by you. And then you need both to spend the money. It's better than storing it online, because it prevents you from the hacker attacks, because even if the server operator gets hacked, he will get only one part of your address and he will not be able to withdraw it. And if you get hacked, the same happens. The hacker only will get one. He would need to hack both the server and your computer to actually succeed. So that is interesting, and that is actually what in BITALO is implemented, in which I am a programmer contracted to make this exactly happen. So one question though, if this is so great and has so many potential applications, why doesn't anyone use it? Maybe not anyone, because we already saw today that this Bitcoin 1000 party is funded using multi-signature addresses, and this is great. This shows that people are starting to use it, but still we should take some time and actually encourage people to learn how they work and why these addresses are great. So One reason that many people aren't using it is that they are not easy to use. For example, I showed the command line, not without a reason. I showed the command line because for this moment it's the easiest solution to generate a multi-signature address. There are some online solutions, but then you lose your security because you already gave the private key to someone and you don't want to do it. So there are no easy solutions right now, and this is non-trivial. If you look up the code in the original Satoshi client, which regards multi-signature transactions, it's also non-trivial. And even if you get to the point that you think it works, you send it to the Bitcoin network and it rejects it for whatever reason, because you messed up the order of bytes or whatever. You really have to understand the protocol to use it at the moment. And I think everyone that is technical should now try to work to make it easier for everyone's sake. So yeah, even the command line usage isn't very straightforward. I don't have a slide to show you how it works, but it's basically 3 or 4 lines of terminal code in one command, which is in which you have to hand type JSON, which is not that easy. And then if you forget something like script pub key or redeem script, or you mess up the order of private keys or something else, it will not work. So that's really a tough business and tough thing to do. So what every one of you can do about it to make it easier. So if you're a developer, you should try to understand multi-signature and make apps that support it. One thing that everyone should do, if you have a Bitcoin service, you should make sure that a user can withdraw Bitcoins from your service to a multi-signature wallet. Some services still don't support it, and there is really no good reason not to do it, because it's in the protocol. It's a standard Bitcoin feature, and yet if you get, I don't know, the blockchain iPhone application, it doesn't work. It just says invalid Bitcoin addresses because it doesn't start with 1. So they didn't add support to it. So if you have a Bitcoin service, make sure you don't validate it just by if the Bitcoin address starts with 1, because it can also start with 3. And the second one is user. You should ask your service providers why don't they support this, and let them know that this is useful, that they should implement that. So, to recap, like I said, it's already working, and in BITALO, in March this year, me and 6 other guys, some of which are in this audience, I think even almost all of them, created this. And if you go to www.bitalo.com, you will see this website. The wallets are already working, and you can create your own multi-signature wallet. You can send money to it, you can spend money to it, and the best part, it's all implemented in JavaScript, which is not obfuscated, not compressed. You can just see the source, how the transaction signature is working. You can even learn from it and make a new service that also handles multi-signature, and we encourage that because we want people to use that. On top of that, we use something called MIPIN, which is a malware-proof two-factor authentication. By malware-proof, I mean that if you are setting up your BITALO account and your computer is compromised, you will still get a secure account, even if you have keylogger, Trojan, whatever, or on your computer. It's because this MIPIN service uses an API in which your mobile talks directly to their servers and not through your computer. So this is great because right now, even if you take many precautions, you can still be infected in this or that way. And if you use this, you have a secure two-factor, and if the hacker grabs your password to the BITALO service, he will still not be able to log in or withdraw funds because you have this two-factor which is not compromised. So that is also nice, and yeah, it's live. This is an old slide. It already launched, and you can register. You can go right now. So yeah, that's it from my presentation. And
that
any
is
questions?
Interesting, and that is actually what in BITALO is implemented. In which I am a programmer contracted to make this exactly happen. So one question though, if this is so great and has so many potential applications, why doesn't anyone use it?
You
Maybe
have
not anyone, because we already
BITALO
saw
wallets
today
in which you have your balances. We check these balances and display them to you. And in the event of exchange, the money is transferred directly from one person's multi-signature wallet to another after the exchange. So on the low level, we first transfer your money to a freshly made, to a new multi-signature wallet that is also controlled by you with this unlock time feature of Bitcoin. This guards us from seller disappearing. If the seller disappears, after 14 days, BITALO has the authority to get the funds back. But if during these 14 days the buyer and seller agree and everything went okay, then the transfer goes on, and BITALO then doesn't have any option to touch the funds, because they don't leave the multi-signature wallet at any time. So yeah, that's how it works.
Okay.
Yeah.
If I understand this VPIN correctly, if you have a compromised computer and somebody tries to log in, you have to confirm that it's not you trying to log in.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So what if you just have your mobile in your pocket and you do you say okay, yes, accidentally? What happens then? So will the hacker be able to access your account? Or?
Yeah, I don't think there is such thing as accidental confirmation. So it works like that. You have this application on your computer.
Number at VPIN. So there is no just this tab, right?
No, there is. I have to put it in.
Yes, you have to put it in once. But after that,
no. So let me explain.
Okay.
So when you receive an authentication, this is the application MIPIN. When you receive the authentication request, if you put a PIN security feature on the MIPIN, you first have to enter the PIN.
Okay.
But it's up to you. If you want to increase security, you just go settings and set my PIN, and then you have to enter this PIN. If not, it will show you the screen when it will show you BITALO login, for example, IP address of the request, and then cancel or OK. So if you're careless enough to get your phone, unlock it, enter your PIN or not, and just press OK because something popped out on your screen, then you might have as well as well throw your wallet by accident.
Implemented.
So
in which I am a programmer contracted to make this exactly happen. So
these were stolen and lost.
This is so great and has so many potential applications.
And this is probably the low estimate because we don't know anything. But if you go, there was actually a link there. You can type in Google biggest Bitcoin scams and frauds and thefts or something like that. This Bitcoin Talk forums thread will pop out, and this guy just cataloged every documented Bitcoin loss. And if you add the numbers, you will get like 800,000, maybe more even, right now.
Thank you.
Yeah?
Just another question about an annotation maybe. There's also a very nice chart that I found, I think last week, which shows the division of days or time coins at a specific address have not moved since then. So this is not a true indication of being lost, because people may just use paper wallets and stuff, but it actually shows that more than more than 40% have not been moved in the last since more than 2 years.
Okay, 40%. So it's like more than 4 million bitcoins. Yeah, but we can safely assume that, for example, Satoshi never moved most of his stash, and his stash is probably quite big. But it's a safe assumption that at least 1 million Bitcoin is already lost or burned or hacked. So that's a very big number that we should try to minimize in the future, because we have only 21 million. So we have to really care about them.
So yeah. That is interesting, and that is actually what in BITALO is implemented, in which I am a programmer.
No, this is actually a question about Bitcoin, how the Bitcoin internally works. So it's just a distributed ledger, and if you create a paper wallet and just created it, then network knows nothing about it. And then if you send funds to it, for example, I have this paper wallet address, I sent 10 Bitcoins to it, then you let the whole network know that on this address there are 10 Bitcoins. And you could have this paper wallet just in your safe, but the whole network knows that on this address there are those 10 Bitcoins. So it's not a notion of offline, online. It's just network knows this because you broadcast it to the network when sending the funds. So you could generate the public address, store the private key on paper wallet in your safe, and then even 1 year after, just send it, and network will know because the whole public-private key cryptography assures that.
So that is interesting, and that is actually what in BITALO...
Yeah, everybody knows that this 256 public public key has 10 Bitcoins right now. And that's the common knowledge. As Martin told earlier, it's not tied that Maciej owns 10 Bitcoins. It's only that this string owns it. Yeah. So that's how it works. That's why paper wallets are viable, because they are totally offline. You can generate them, store them, or you can have them on your offline computer and then send Bitcoins to it, even though this computer never saw internet. And then you can also use your private key and offline generate a transaction and only put this transaction on a USB stick, put it on an online computer, and then broadcast it to the network. And still your private key is secure, but you spent the funds. So, so that's how it works. And still you can have multi-signature paper wallets even. So this is one part, this is another part. You have to combine them to spend. So that's it. Thank you.